Today in the Bertha Frank lobby, we presented plant projects that my students started the first week of school. So this is our Honors Biology Semester 1 project. The first week of school, I asked the students to grow something in the greenhouse and test something. So they can grow a variety of seeds that I have available to them, or they can bring in some of their own seeds if they want to. Some of them have family that are farmers and they bring in corn that is planted out in the field, and then they have to test something. They all do research. We have research days. We have parts of the scientific method that we're working through at the same time where they are setting up this project. So they have to ask a question, form a hypothesis, decide what their dependent and independent variables are, and then they start growing. So they have been growing these for, we counted most of them 14 weeks. They were growing their plants. So 14 weeks worth of growth, and oftentimes they want to know when they can stop. And I tell them they can stop when they plant fruits or flowers. And some of them, once that happens, they still want to keep growing them. I had one group start again. They grew a plant that grows very quickly, basil. It grew, it flowered, and then they wanted to repeat their experiment, so they actually repeated that experiment. So plenty of time for growth, plenty of time to change your experiment. Some students can't get certain crops to grow out there, and so they'll switch to something that germinates faster or grows faster. So that's what we did. So for 14 weeks, the students have to keep something alive in the greenhouse, water, care for it, take data, take pictures, take measurements, however it is that they're tracking their plant growth. And then at the end, they compile all of that information, their data tables, their graphs, and they have to write a well-written conclusion.
All right, so this is my project. It's called Sunseeker Sunflowers, and it's a project that basically tests the amount of lights on different kinds of sunflowers. This project was an experiment where it had 3 different sunflowers, and one of them was a control, which was the sunlight. There was another one where it had the shade, and then there was a third one, which was the lamplight. My hypothesis was that if a sunflower gets too much light, then it will wither, and if a sunflower gets too little light, then it will not thrive. Right? So my hypothesis turned out to be true, and it also happened to have the same effect that I wanted it to have, where there was the sunflowers that didn't have enough light and it just didn't grow, and there was another sunflower where it did grow and there was a lot of light.
All right, so the title of our project is Beginning with Basil, and we grew basil. We did it over a 3-month time period. We were measuring what different liquids, what kind of effects they have on the plant height. So we did saltwater, vinegar, tea, and then water, and then we tested to see which plants grew higher. And we actually were surprised to see that tea actually grew better than water did, because we expected that water was going to grow higher than everything, and that tea was going to grow well at the start, and then it was just going to go down. So we were surprised because almost the entire time tea grew better than water did.
So our project's name is the Lively Tomato. We wanted to see out of 3 water types which one would grow best. The 3 water types were tap, distilled, and salt. Our original hypothesis was that distilled was going to grow better, but as you can see, it did not go that well. And so the best one was actually tap. So you can see here that salt grew exponentially and then leveled out and it stopped growing. And then distilled grew very slowly, it didn't work out. And then tap just grew and kept growing.
The name of my project is Can I Grow My Tomatoes Here? And I basically took 3 different types of soil, sand, potting soil, and some dirt from my house, and I tested which soil it would grow best in. Surprisingly, it actually ended up growing best in the dirt that I brought from home, which countered my hypothesis, which I predicted it would grow well in potting mix. Don't grow tomatoes in sand. I don't recommend it.